The social issue that I decided to write about is mass incarceration and how the United States is the leading country of people in prison. The United States is the leading country in incarceration, having more than 2.4 million people acting as prisoners. The number has quadrupled since 1980, and it will continue to increase if nothing is done to decrease it. The problem is that there are so many people going to prison for nonviolent related crimes, and it is increasing the amount of tax dollars we pay. Incarceration determines whether our tax money goes to fund public health programs or meals for another prisoner. It is allowing some of the best health care, such as counseling and mental health assistance, to be directed towards prisons rather than to poor communities, minorities, and centers for mental health care, which overall hurts our country. There are various things that can be done to fix the problem of mass incarceration. One is a reform that eliminates incarceration as an option to low-level or non-violent offenses. Instead, people would be sent to rehabilitation centers or healthcare centers, which would actually focus on the individual's problem, unlike a prison. Furthermore, the federal or state government should put more money into the parole and probation system to get better treatment programs for drug treatment programs. This would help individuals once again fix their problems and could help ex-cons when they have to go back into the real world. It would get them more ready for the real world and more prepared compared to prisons. Another solution is to reduce the sentence for nonviolent crimes, because studies have shown that a longer sentence does not mean that people are less likely to commit the crime intended. This means that people with nonviolent crimes committed, they would be sentenced to less years, which would decrease the amount of prisoners in prisons. I chose this topic because it is extremely interesting to me that the United States incarcerates the most people. It is a topic that I think truly affects almost every single person in the country, and I think that it really is highly overlooked and ignored. I also enjoy to research and write about topics that tend to be overlooked, and I think that this is something that needs light to be shined on. I also find it fascinating that the war on drugs is a heavy explanation to why there are so many people being sentenced to long years in jail. And it's also interesting that mass incarceration has become a political issue, which it really had never been before until recently. This is important because the amount of people who get incarcerated determines largely where our tax money is going and how it is going to be spent. It affects everyone who pays taxes, which is many citizens of the United States. It is also important because the problem with mass incarceration could potentially change the way that judges choose to sentence people for various actions, which would essentially change the entire legal system. It also affects the prisoners of this country, which is about roughly 2.4 million people. Overall, this is a topic that should not be taken lightly. If I had to ask anyone any question, my biggest question is how to approach the subject without making it seem that I'm supporting criminals. Because I'm not trying to say that people who commit drug offenses or nonviolent crimes shouldn't get time. They should go to jail and pay for the crime that they committed, but I don't think they should be sentenced as long as they should, because it's hurting our tax money. So I don't want it to seem that I'm supporting